Hello, everyone. Excited to get kicked off again, maybe the 8th year. Seems like time has flown, but really looking forward to watching practice like you do every year. This is a fun time of year, watching your teams grow and come together, and the guys that you had to the first 6 months and develop that identity to incorporate another 20 guys or so that come in as freshmen and see how they fit in and what they do. But, been happy with this group. They've had great attitudes, outstanding summer. Thought we did a great job in the summer weightlifting programs, academically, everything across the board. I think we did great. Our conduct, everything, everybody was great all summer. And team very focused and together. Now we just have to start developing the team and getting it to where we need to get it to. And like I say, it's far from a finished product. There's a lot of work to do between now and the opening game, and to keep building throughout the season to try and get better to match our schedule. We get an extremely tough schedule, great opponents, a lot of great home games, a lot of, of course, neutral site games, away games, everything. I think this schedule's got everything involved in it, and that will be extremely challenging in a lot of ways. But that's why you play the game. And but looking forward to getting things going, just getting out on the practice field. And of course, we'll look great today. We'll have those shorts and those shirts, and they'll all be fitted nice and tight, and everybody will look pretty. And I hope we can just make sure we line up and do the right things and keep practicing and keep progressing. But, as long as we have the attitude of getting better and working and understand that we're going to get coached and understand that we're going to make mistakes and understand that we got to improve and all those things, I think we'll be outstanding. And I don't expect anything but. Again, I've liked the personality of this team, so we'll see how it continues to grow. But like I say, it's a long way from finish. So getting ready to go and, again, face this tough conference schedule. Like I said before, I think the ACC conference it just gets better and better every year. I mean, the games, and I think in college football playoff, you look at those top 25 games, about half of them are ACC games. About 5 or 6 of them involved us, a bunch with Clemson. All teams all over from top to bottom. I think the strength of this conference has gotten great, and I think, again, we're all going out and playing great non-conference opponents, and which is very challenging and very risky at the same time, but, that's what it's about. So hopefully we'll get ready to play. We have an outstanding schedule coming up, and looking forward to that, and we better get ready to play. So we have, all 12 games and get ready to go, get our health, get our depth, develop the young guys, get the older guys in gear, and the guys and keep rotations and things we got to do to be good, because, there's always obstacles that come throughout the year, and I think that's going to be the big thing, how teams handle when someone gets hurt or someone bangs up or something doesn't go just right, all those things, and developing that personality and character in which you have to play at a championship level. So anxious to get going. Questions? All right. See you in a little bit.
When you're looking at the start of the season, what do you and your coaches look for in the first week? Is it just attitude? Is it seeing how guys kind of follow small details? What would you say those?
That you don't have to coach the efforts of the game, the toughness of the game, all the intangibles that are incorporated in your off-season programs, your summer programs. Then they wind down in their discipline and then where they can line up, and you got to coach that, and you got to coach them to all the little details, and that you're coaching that part of the game and not the effort and the things like that, which I don't expect, which we've had outstanding. Did it in spring. I thought we did it in the summer from everything I'm understanding. So a lot of those things, and guys that are eager to learn, guys that go out there with a great attitude, that are willing to be coached, willing to and want to be disciplined, want to be detail-oriented, things like that.
Was it way to find out when the season started last year? In hindsight, did you see that maybe that team didn't have it?
No, I don't say it didn't have it, but I said, you saw me in the press conferences, all doing the thing. I thought we were young at places, and I think sometimes reality has to hit of how the game is going to be played and how consistently each week you got to go. It's not that you can't do it for a game sometimes when you're young, but understanding, okay, that was over with, we got to go again. We got to go again, got to go again, got to go again. And, I think those things, and hopefully, we've learned. And again, every win or loss is a learning opportunity, and you have to take advantage of those opportunities. And I think we have, and I think it's shown at least in our attitude and our urgency. Another thing is having urgency. That the urgency, you can tell, even when a guy makes a mistake, his urgency and his mind's right. That's good, and that's an attitude that goes with your team, and hopefully we'll continue to see that. Yeah, I think, there's always going to be parts of that you always as a coach are going to refine, but I think you can see the development of, if they're pretty knowledgeable about all the different things they have to do, whether it's a route combination, it's a coverage, it's a certain defense that they've talked and in their meetings and carried it on. I think that's what you can really see that, this is a little bit different from what you thought here, but they got the grasp of 85, 90% of the things that they understand of that concept. You can tell a lot of those things.
Coach, with a guy like Derwin James being named best college player before the season even gets started, that's not going to put much stock into
No, I mean, hey, listen, that means you have talent. That means it's possible for you to do that. What he's got to do is take possible and make it probable. And how he's got to do that, just go perform and practice every week and be detoured and not worry about that and just go play the game. And, it means you have talent. You have the possibilities of doing that. A lot of people, you could put probably 50 guys in that slot that have possibilities of doing that. But, they all got to turn possible into probable.
You said before just wanting to make sure you can get him the ball in many different ways you can. You given any thought to maybe using him even on offense?
Yeah, you can. You could do that. He could do that. He could go out there and run or catch or pass or run a reverse or do something. I mean, he could do any of those things.
What are some things that you mentioned players learning from last year and applying? What about you as a coach, maybe that you've taken away?
You have your signs, your personalities, things you do, and you learn your team, the players, and also how you coach something. You do something. You tweak it. You tweak that play a little bit. You tweak that play a little. I mean, we're always doing that. We do it weekly. You do it afterwards when you do your evaluations. You do it in situations, and how you do things, whether it's on defensive red zone, offensive red zone, third down, efficiencies on third down, turnovers, whatever. I mean, you're constantly evaluating every kicking game, this coverage, that coverage, how you cover a kick that way, how you kick, or kicking formation. I mean, those things all become from A to Z as a coach. And then also, again, each team, you constantly challenge yourself about, did I see that coming? What was the sign before I could see that? Sometimes with that group, now if that guy does that, and it's not just always studying X's and O's, it's studying personalities on your team. Because all people are different. And when you learn them, you can sometimes head off things. Okay, he's starting down that road again. He may not be meaning to. You say, hey, no, we got to get back on track. Or he's okay. I think you constantly learn your team all the time. And I think that's why coaching is such a challenge, that you're always incorporating new people. Guys grow, they advance, they mature. Finding that fine tuning that where you can push a guy the right way, tell him the right thing, and recognize sometimes and help him out as much as you can.
Have you seen signs of maturity growth this team from?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I think some of the guys that played, but again, you're incorporating new guys in there, and who's going to be counted upon. But I think they all took great learning towards it, and the way they finished, I think, was great. And how that last team developed, but how those guys are trying to carry some of those things over. But that's over with. Now you got to take and develop your own as your team. But I do see some signs of that. I have been. And in reports, whether it's school, whether it's off the field, whether it's practice, whether it's weightlifting, whether it's conditioning, from that standpoint, I've seen some of that, yes.
Jimbo, a couple of the offensive linemen come back from surgeries, Lilly and Dickerson. How are they doing?
Great, full go. They'll be ready to go. He's really made a lot of progress. He'll be ready to practice. He'll be practicing full go today.
Where could he be if he becomes what?
His chance to be he has good size, speed, athleticism, and he's got to develop himself into a receiver and run routes, catch balls, and all those things. But he's a very good athlete, very good football, and very driven, very good young man. Does everything you ever ask of him. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he's fun to coach, and the things that have happened to him they're out of his control. There's nothing he could do. And that's sometimes guys get hurt. Sometimes injuries happen. That's ball. I mean, you can't. That's not his fault. There's nothing he's done. So he's getting healthy. One thing you have seen is a guy who's driven to get back, got healthy, and gotten himself in a position to play.
When you see kind of all those tendencies, I mean, how much does it mean knowing that you do have a bit of an experience as a receiver, and you do need one of those guys to step up?
Well, we do, but we don't. Who's our two leading touchdown guys last year? Tate and Nooney.
Yeah.
So we're not really inexperienced. I don't look at that as inexperienced. I mean, yeah, it is, though, who's caught a ton of balls. You have two main guys coming in. That's about as good as anybody has when you really go back and look at it. Big games, big moments, big plays. And then we'll have some of those young guys, whether it's Keith Gavin, whether it's DJ Matthews, whether it's Phillips, whether it's Campbell, whether it's Tamaron Terry, those guys. And then your tight ends can pick things up. Your backs catch the ball. I mean, so I'm anxious to see. I think we have very talented. I think there's some really good talented young receivers in there. Watching me anxious. I'm anxious to watch Keith and those guys and DJ and Phillips. I mean, I'm anxious to watch all those guys take off.
You talked before about how the expectations have gotten unrealistic a lot of times for young players, and people want to cast them aside if they don't do much early.
Yeah.
How has George handled that?
Very good.
With a lot of hopes.
He has, but he's understood and reality. I mean, what you control, what you can control. Don't worry about what people. Who cares what? I don't mean this. I don't care they shouldn't care what you say, what the public says, what anybody on Twitter or on Facebook. You need to turn all that stuff. That stuff's garbage. It does nothing for you. It just know what you can control, know the reality of why it happened, and then go play. And I think he's done a good job of that. And I think that's why he's back to where he's at, because all the hard work, and hopefully it'll pay off.
Along the lines of maturation process, and you mentioned tight ends, but where's David Saunders at?
Getting better. He's had a pretty good summer, and we'll see when we get out there and start playing.
Jimbo, you said in Charlotte that you guys better have your team ready for Bama because you scheduled them. Why did you want to play Bama?
Excuse me?
Why did you want to schedule Bama?
Well, years ago, they were after us to play the game, thought it'd be good, thought it'd be a great marketing game, thought it'd be good for the programs. We're both winning the matchup, and I think it's one of the things you could test yourself. I mean, you find, and like they're going to test themselves with us. You find out where your team's at early in the season. And we've played, I mean, whether it's Pitt, it's Oklahoma State, it's Ole Miss, sometimes you don't get these. And who knew that we'd both be top 3 teams or 2 teams or whatever the heck it is. I don't know, 5, 10, whatever. But, I mean, we didn't know that at the time. But, I knew that they would have a great program with Nick, and I think he thinks the same way here. And, it's a good way we like playing. And if you can play those games early at certain times, I think it's good. And, at that time back then, our league wasn't like it is now. And you're trying to make sure you schedule non-conference games for championships and things like that, which we do, which people don't realize. When you do 2 like we do, nobody does it in the country any better than we do. When you play Florida and Alabama every year, and we play Notre Dame in Florida every year. I mean, you play those Oklahoma State, Ole Miss in Florida. We've scheduled 2 major, probably about the only one consistent. There's a couple others. I think Clemson has done it a couple times, and some others. But, you're talking about non-conference matchups, and it's good for you. Learns you to put in those situations for bowl games, for national championships, neutral site games, growth, recruiting, all that stuff.
On that note, having so much experience in these types of games and openers and pro stadiums, do you think that helps have a little bit of experience going into it?
I think it does. These guys have been there and understand what's going to happen to them. You know what I mean? But now you guys have got every opponent's different. And, of course, Alabama has been better than the ones we've ever played. I mean, they've been tremendous. So, they'll have to have a general idea. Brady Scott, I believe, is the only one, if I'm not mistaken. He had that accident on a scooter. Let me go down and see. Up there. Up there. There. Now they all should be... They all should be good to go, if I'm not mistaken. Anyone in particular you were talking about, or anything in that way?
Yeah.
No, I believe everybody should be ready to go.
Any guys have these academics? Any other
Nope, they'll all be out there.
All right, we're going to go to the phone.
To the contrary, huh?
We're going to let Gary ask a question on the phone.
And by the way...
Yeah, Jimbo, how you doing? How you doing today?
Hey, good. How you doing?
Jimbo, topic of conversation at most all the preseason media days and kickoffs was the length of college football games. The commissioners say they're going to try to shorten the games with some better management by the officials, but they're not going to tinker with any rules. I'm going to guess that you and most coaches would be against any rule changes that would shorten halftime or change the rule about stopping the clock on first downs.
Yeah, I mean, you're changing the whole game. You're changing the concept of the game. And you are changing halftime. They're shortening it. I mean, they're not waiting until coaches get off the field. They're starting it as soon as it's over with, which will speed it up. And I think they're doing things where, if the guy on the red hat says 30, when he gets 30 seconds, the official takes over. And the producer doesn't have the right to hold it for 10, 15, 30. If they miss a play, they miss a play on halves and stuff too. So I think doing those things, I mean, that's where I think a lot of the time needs to be saved.
Okay. But do you think that the game itself, are you overly concerned about games lasting 3.5 hours? Is it really a big deal?
No.
Okay. All right, thanks.
Mm-hmm. All right, one more on the phone. Chris, you can go ahead.
Hey, Jimbo, how you doing?
All right, how are you?
Doing great. Out of the 25 freshmen that's on this roster, which ones are going to make the impact this year?
I wish I knew that. I wish I knew that.
Which one's going to be making an impact?
I have no idea, and I've learned that a long time ago. I mean, because guys you think do. I mean, you're just so many intangibles that go into that. One's opportunity, 2 situation, 3 is, do you leave home? Is there something at home? You've never been away. I mean, there's just so many different, and positions can also have a big impact. Certain positions are harder to play early in your career than they are than in other guys. There's not as much learning. I've learned not to do that. I mean, hopefully we're going to try all of them, give them all an opportunity, because like I say, I think the impact of freshmen in your team is so vital now because of the numbers and how things go and the youth of teams at times, because some of you guys leave, and you got to have those guys ready to go, because you got to be playing some of them anyway, because you got to know in a year or two this guy's going or that guy's going or next year he's going, even though he's a backup. You got to get those young guys developed. But player development is critical, and I think that's one of the better things we've ever done around here. We've played a tremendous amount of freshmen, had tons of freshmen All-Americans, 16, 18, 19 or something like that in the years we've had. So we've had great success with that, and our coaches do a good job. So we'll push as many as we can, but we won't also put them in a situation before they're ready for it, because I think with young players, you can ruin them before you make them when you get them on the field and they're quite not ready just because you think you have to. So we got to be very smart with that, but at the same time, we're going to be aggressive with it, if that makes any sense.
Thanks, Jimbo. Good luck.
Thank you.
Jimbo, how many guys have probably rotated left tackle throughout the camp?
Ricky Laren's going to be starting there.
Oh, really?
Ricky will be there. So, but we'll have other guys. I mean, we'll have Jawan behind him. We'll have Josh. If we try somebody else, we could try anybody over there. You know what I mean? In what we do. But we're going to start Ricky there in the beginning and have Brock at right tackle along with Derek Kelly, and then Ball and Jawan. Let those guys all play at tackle and see which ones are the best ones right now and play. And there's even if you really wanted to, Dickerson maybe could be a guy that could possibly do that at times if you wanted to. But I expect those guys will be able to handle it.
In the spring, you said you like Rick feeling comfortable at right tackle.
But he did a lot of work in the left, and he feels very comfortable over there. But see, I'm not like everyone in college football. The left tackle isn't like it is in pro football, because in pro football you're always in a right formation. The tight end probably 80% of the time is to the right, so that's why they play a lot of their best rush ends in your left tackle. And it is a blind side, but like you always said, DeMarcus Walker, he led us in sacks, led the nation, right? He played right end, he played left end, he played tackle. I mean, you don't always get them just lining up like that. It's a different game. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think the validity of left tackle is quite the same it is in pro football, but we'll find the best combination to which the five work at best positions as we can. But Ricky will start left tackle in the beginning.
How was it you found Rick Leonard to be comfortable with this? Because, he's now had a lot of time to get adjusted to playing O-line. How would you guys assess the progress?
Just maturity and understanding and confidence. He came from defense. He was a good defensive player. He's a guy who's flipped over. A lot like Cam. If you remember, Cam even struggled out there a lot early. Even though as well as he played, he struggled out there at times early. And I think just maturity, growth, his strength, he's gotten so much bigger and stronger now. His way he's carrying it well. He's really strong in the weight room right now. Very powerful. So I just think overall confidence and growth that way. And his knowledge. Things have slowed down. You know what I mean? And also you get a little more urgency about you in your junior and senior year. That time's dwindling down. You focus, you detail more, you eliminate a lot of the things that aren't important and do those things. And I think all those things have, a culmination of those things has helped his development.
When you talk about college football being a different game than pro football, we've seen the proliferation of RPOs. And Coach Stanley talked about in the SEC meetings how he hates it, but they're not going to change the rules. He's allowed his team to adapt to it more. What are your thoughts as an offensive mind?
We do them. We do probably, I don't say 8 to 14 a game. Did last year. Always have. I think it's a dumb rule. I think it's dumb. It's unfair to defenses. I'm an offensive guy. Guys that more than a yard down, it's a penalty. But they are what we do. We do them. We've done them. Our bubble screens, our screen games are all RPOs. Those aren't scripted. They're decisions. All those touchdowns to Kermit and all those different throws and all that screen game we do, that's all that. The pad, the slants, we do a lot of RPOs. So, we do them. And you have to adapt to them. Just because I say I don't like them doesn't mean I'm not going to do them, because I'm going to adapt to the rules. But we do them, and we'll continue to do them.
Jimbo, that other cornerback spot opposite McFadden will be Levante Taylor, Tom Myers, where you mix a couple guys.
All those guys. They'll all have opportunities to play different positions, and some will be nickels, some will be dimes at times, and some will be field corners. We'll play all those guys. Stanford, all those guys with those guys.
I imagine all those guys are real prideful bunch. How do you explain to them that you're going to have a role, whatever role you have?
You earn your role. I don't. I say you earn your role. I don't explain. I don't know what role they're going to have. That's up to them. That ain't up to me. That's up to competition. That's up to them playing, how well they play. They understand that. They did it last year.
You have some new rules on practice, what you can and can't do in schedules. Does that have an impact at all? Are you comfortable with the new?
It is. You got to have the day off. I don't think it's all bad. No two-a-days. Cause we didn't have the old two-a-days, the way people thought of them were not the way we did things. You know what I'm saying? But I understand what they're doing. We adapt and adjust. It just it's got to make sure you don't push this thing so far back in July, because your kids are going to suffer in the meantime, because you got school. You're in practice and you're doing 2.5 weeks of school when you start. Now we got like 5 or 6 days now, but you start getting back in July and you get in the middle of July, you're affecting academics. You're also affecting those freshmen who are first coming in there. They're going into 2-a-days. They're in their first 2 classes. They get a jump out of class. We don't think those things matter. They do. They do big time. What you'll end up seeing, guys, will probably, if they ever do the 14, they'll probably shorten the number of practices. You'll still come in August. But at the same time, they got to loosen some rules up in the summer. They're going to do that because you're teaching for those kids and getting them adapted to playing, which is critical in today's time, or you're going to have more guys hurt because you ain't going to have the rotation. And you need to loosen some of your summer rules up to be able to teach them, because whether you're in 7-on-7 or that doesn't teach those guys. Listen, that's all good, and the defense goes out there on their own. There ain't no coaches out there. It's a good thing, but it's not even close to what you would normally do. But those things are all going to come in time, in my opinion.
Jimbo, when you look at defensive tackle, you got returning stars and, of course, reserves like Jones and Jaime. So how does a guy like Marvin Wilson work his way into that and carve an issue? There's a lot of depth in this game.
Play better than they do. I mean, it is. I mean, everybody looks for – that's a simple thing. Play better than the guy in front of you. And it's your job to make us play, I promise you. If there's guys that are ready, we're going to play them all. We'll find roles. We'll find ways to put you in the game. And the bottom line, that's what it's – listen, when you get to these levels, it's about one thing. It's about competition. You ain't expected nothing. Because you played last year don't mean you play this year. Because you won last year, just because we won 10 games, does that guarantee we're going to win 10 games? The year we won the national championship, does that mean we were going to win 14 the next year? You got to do it every year. And you have to find those roles and things. And it's about competition, getting better and going.
Well, for Marvin, like for you, when you look at Marvin, I know everybody talks about kind of just his strength, but what are some of those other things for you that kind of stand out when you watch him and work?
I haven't yet. We'll see. We'll see when he gets on the field. I mean, I haven't seen him in a practice. You know what I'm saying? I haven't seen him on the field. I haven't seen him, in that regard. We expect him. I think he'll have a great career, but that's just let him go play and see how he does. And he's had an outstanding summer. I think the guys they felt good about the way he's worked, the way he's ran, the way he's conditioned. They see all those things, but you got to go play football and just let him go play. Yeah, we talk at times. Neither of us are big talkers that way, but we'll talk and we see each other. We have a great time together and occasionally talk on the phone, different issues that go in college football at different times and that stuff. But yeah. No, we saw each other draft in different places, and it's the same. We ain't telling each other what we're doing. But all you got to do is watch a film. You could see. But we know, in that regard, it's time to compete. We'll compete against him, but that won't change any relationship you have.
Jimbo, how does Alec Everly recover from that hip surgery, and how will he go and rank for the first team start?
Oh, yeah. Heck, yeah. Alec had a good, solid year. He's strong. I think he squatted almost 600 pounds. He benched mid-4s or something like that, or high. He's health, his size. I think he's weighing about 301, somewhere in that range right now. Looks healthy. Looks as good as he has since he's been here. He's moved as good as he has since he's been here. That impingement and some of the things he had. Now, and he'll hopefully continue to play well, grow as a player.
Is that injury slowing him down maybe more than he thought watching?
Some, I'm sure it was very painful. What he had done, when you're taking bone away, and it was nothing he had. It wasn't an injury. It's a genetic thing. Some people have their hips like that, some don't. You have a lot of those guys now. You're seeing a lot of that. That's what's causing all those injuries. And genetically, people, they can do the things they got to do to make it right.
As far as trying to find someone to back up the undrafted quarterback, how do you divvy up the reps the first week or anything like that?
We'll start them all. But see, our guys all get the same amount of reps. The one guy gets as many reps as the 4. We practice on 2 fields, 1s and 3s, 2s and 4s. 2 coaches on each field, and we go. The first guy gets as many reps as the 4th guy. So you'll see who can develop, who will be ready, who will make the reads. Scripts are going to be the same, and they'll go. So they all get reps. It ain't like, everybody, you have one guy going and 2 guys, and everybody's standing and watching. We don't practice like that. Everybody's practicing at one time. Always have. That's how we get a lot of those freshmen ready. I just see answers, confidence, his reactions to his teammates, his interactions with them and his demands on them and the things he does. A lot more relaxed, controlling, getting guys to do this, getting guys to do that. And he understands, because he understands something. Last year, he still had to go prove he could do it on the field. That's one of the best freshman years you ever see. You're talking about a guy on 3rd down was outstanding. A guy in the red zone was out. That's how you measure quarterbacks. 3rd down, red zone, not turn the ball over. 2-minute drives for the half, into the game. All those, when you go watch situational football, as good as anybody. You're talking about 5 drives at one game that brought people back. We lost one of the games, but he did what he had to do and playing situation football. And he had to go prove that. Now I think he understands that, got to continue to do it, but now I see the interaction with his players and the guys around him, and they look at him and know. He gets the ball at the end of the game, we can win the game. It's 3rd down, he can make it up. It's red zone, he can make the throw. It's whatever it has to be. If he gets hit, he's gonna come back and lead us. You know what I'm saying? You develop that, then his rapport with guys become even greater and their respect for him, so his communications and his demeanor can start to come across them.
Do you feel like now that he doesn't have almost that something to prove that you might see even more growth?
No. When he quits having something to prove, when you're going to be in trouble. You always got something to prove. And I mean, I'm not, you always do. You good enough is never good enough. Well, enough, that's when you need to quit. And he's got something to prove, that he can continue to do the things he did last year and then grow in other areas. I mean, you always have something to prove.
Jimbo, you said you like the personality of the team.
Mm-hmm.
Explain that. What does that mean?
When you talk to them, when you talk to them, they ain't never late for a meeting. When you talk to them, they're sitting in the front of their chair and their eyes are up. There ain't guys dozing off. There ain't guys, and it happens on every football team. Everybody say, well, that happens in the history of 29 years. That happens a lot. I mean, that's just part of kids. When you sit and talk to them, they got to be somewhere. Whether they're doing community service, whether they're doing good in school. I mean, just the whole demeanor and the urgency in which how they let you coach them, let you push them, let you challenge them, and say that, I don't have all the answers. Hey, I know I'm a great player. But I can still be coached. I can still be gotten on. I can still be challenged. And from that demeanor, that means just characteristics that normal good people, like if you walked in a room with somebody and you want to have a conversation with them and talk to them, if he's looking all over the room and doing that, what's that tell you? Or is he locked into what you're saying? Is he paying attention to what you're saying? Is he trying to do what you're saying? Does he show up 2 minutes late? Is he on time? Are they 5 minutes early? Do they affect other guys? Are they getting on other guys? Or you see the leaders of the team taking their personality on guys. You know what I'm saying? From that standpoint, that's what I've liked.
What does that do for the younger guys that are just coming in?
Creates culture. Culture is the most important thing of a place. And it's not just created by the coach. The coach can set a standard, then the players have to own that standard. Till the players own it, you have nothing. And then the administration has to set it. What advantages are they giving you? What advantages is school giving you over the next school that makes you want to go bust your tail for them? That this place dictates that we have championships based on everything from A to Z. From their treatment in the classroom to tutoring to how you treat them off the field, on the field, study, whatever it may be, in the weight room, in this, in that. It's all a culture of expectation that you want to do because they're doing things right by you. You know what I'm saying? And then administration says it, coaches said it, then players have to accept it, own it, and then incorporate it into everything they do. Culture is the number one thing.
Jimbo, as far as running back, would you like it more back committee this year?
No, heck, Jacques Patrick's just starting back. He's had great. I always ask him to do in the 3 starts he's had, 200-some yards, 180 yards, about 150 yards, something like that. A bunch of touchdowns. He's earned that right, and he'll go out there, and if he plays the best, he'll play. And he'll compete with the other guys. Jacques looks great. His body looks great. He can catch. He can run. He's proven he can do it at a good level. Love everything about him. He's got to go, continue to go play. And then you'll have to have other backs because of the position does dictate that. We got to have then we got to find out which young guys are going to step up and prove that they can do it. And if they do it better, they'll play. If they don't, then he'll play. It's that simple. But I'm very excited about watching Jacques.
How have you seen him grow, kind of without doubt in there? He's been a leader in that room.
Yeah, I think he has. He understands it. I think he understands the urgency. He gets to be a junior. You start to see that, you know what I'm saying? And I think he can be the guy. And if he's the guy that takes all the reps, he'll take them off. The other guys deserve reps, they'll get reps. That's the thing you say. We don't know yet. We're just coming to the first practice. And I bet they all look fast and quick today, too. I'll bet you that.
He's really close with DeAndre from being from Orlando.
Mm-hmm.
How do you think that friendship kind of helps?
Well, I think you build bonds and trust with people on the field to you. And that guy there, if he's seen you not doing something, he can tell you. Or you can tell him. That all matters. And those guys have all proven they have a lot of trust for each other. Nooney, they all played on the same Pop Warner team. Jacques, Nooney, DeAndre, all those guys, they all played together. I'm sorry?
We've been asking you a lot about offense. What about your defense? How good do you think this defense
I think it has a chance to be a good defense. I mean, you got good front guys, you got good outside, got a lot of body types, the Sweats, the Pews, excuse me. Yes, I'm very excited about Burns, Matthew Thomas, those guys. Those young guys. Jalen Wilkerson. I'm anxious to watch how he's grown. I'm anxious to watch Kando come in after he's been in the spring. Janarius Robinson. All those. You got a lot of guys in those guys, those body type guys like that. I'm anxious to see how they react and play in the linebacker. Derek Hoskins and the safeties and Durham. There's a lot of good guys. And some of those young guys who battles the other spot. Who's the nickel? Who's the dime? Who plays safety? What package? We in 3-3? We in 4-2? We in 5-1? Are you in? Whatever personnels can create. The guys up front. Watch Nadi's development. Watch Christmas's development. Those young guys. It's got a chance to be a very good defense. They got to go play well. They have a lot of diversity, in my opinion, throughout their team that they can create.
On that note, you have probably as many linebackers now as in several years. Are you happy with your options there, especially with the seniors?
Well, I think the seniors have done a good job establishing themselves. I think it's going to be very critical for those young guys to make us feel comfortable putting them in the game. And going to play. They all have ability. Whether it's Brown, whether it's D-Jack, whether it's Rice, whether it's the young guys, Leonard Warner, all the different guys that fit into there. I think they all can go. I think there's some excellent opportunities for them. And use that freshman to sophomore year, grasping what we're doing and, whether we're great special teams players. A lot of areas in that, and a lot of you can watch guys grow in that area too. And how we do things, and that's got to be critical. Getting the right guys to cover, got to get our kick, getting our kicking game. Make sure we're got the guys recovering punts. We're getting first downs on a punt. We catch it first, get a first down. Other than that, we'll go up. We'll try to get big returns and kickoff returns. Get those right guys and covering kicks. And I'm anxious to watch our kickers. I think they've developed and worked hard in the off season. I was happy with the springs they had, watching how they developed. See, you backed offense. Nobody talk defense with it. No.
I know Amir was a guy that you talked about a lot last year, so you were really high on. What are you expecting from him going into this season?
Expect him to compete his tail off. He does in the offseason. All that guy does is go 700 miles an hour and can run, can catch, block, learns, good size, very hard to tackle, very strong. I think he got a chance to be a really, really good football player. Really good football player. So I'm anxious to watch him. And he has an urgency. Nods his head, yes, sir, no, sir. It's kind of like them old guys. Yes, sir. That's all he says, yes, sir, no, sir, and goes 100 miles an hour and plays. The guy's a good player, man. Really good player. Go ahead.
Go back to the thing with running. When you look at all those guys, whether it's your class and whoever, I know we always talk about how they carry the ball, but how important are things like pass protection?
Well, it is. But you got to remember something. I won a national championship in 2003. I lost every back I had in the fifth game, played all freshmen. Played who couldn't pass block nobody. Justin Vincent and Allie Broussard. And Justin ran for about 1,200, and Allie ran for about 800. We figured out how to help them in protection, do what we got to do, and hand them the ball and do what they could do. Or throw it to them, you know what I mean? So, but it does matter because people blitz you and bring pressure. That's one of your things. But those things come in time, but at the same time, we can find ways to get you the ball. We've done it in a lot of ways.
On the defensive side, well, now that you brought up the LSU team, how often did Nick get involved with you on the offensive side of the ball, and how often do you do it? Obviously, as head coach, you're responsible for everything.
Oh, yeah. I always ask questions. What we're doing, why we're doing it. Nick would do it. What are we, how we doing? What are they doing on third down? How you attacking it? Aware of what the game plan was. Nick was it back then. We had to, and I always had to bounce a lot of things off of them. If you had that, would that bother you more? But we used to go at it and practice that way with schemes, and we worked it because we always, that's where we always did good on good, and we always got that. And we always are as a head coach. How are we attacking this? What's going to happen here? Why did that happen? Before, after, you give them freedom to do things, but at the same time, these guys need to be playing more. These guys, you always as a head coach, you have to tap into that. You always have to be a part of all that. You have to let them coach, but at the same time, what we're trying to do. And also, what people don't realize, you want to split offense and defense up. What do you got to do to win a game? We split offense and defense, and it drives me crazy. You know what it tells me? No one's ever sat in a coaching room. No one's ever played on a team. Because how the defense plays to the offense and how the offense plays to the defense matters how you win. That's one of the most crucial things there is. That's what New England does so well. That's what we used to do over there. I think that's what we do here. You have to, they may be deficient, and it can vary game by what the opponent does. We're so caught up now in systems, and we're no huddle, and we're going to score. That's great. You get beat 49-48. Or do we have to slow it down? I mean, what you got to do to win the game. That's how I think. The rest of that doesn't matter. What do we got to do to win the game? And that doesn't mean we won them all, but we've been pretty daggone successful at the same time, doing what we have to do.
It seems like there are a lot of coordinators offensively around this country, and one conference in particular, that don't seem to care about what their defense has to do. They just want to score as many.
That's head coach's fault. Whoever you're talking about. Head coach can dictate that. This is what we're going to do. Head coach is in charge. That's what you got to do. You got to learn to play to each other. You can't, because everybody wants a job. You know when you get a job? When you win. You know how you get the next job? When you win. Everybody said talking to the press will keep you from I never talked to the press one time at LSU. Got a job. I never did that one. I wasn't worried about, I didn't care about, we led the conference in points at times, or we were up in the top, we were in top. Sometimes we weren't. We won a lot of games. Alabama does it sometimes. Their guys do. It's about how you have to play to win the game. It's not your object to lead at an offense or point. That's what you got to do to win. Sometimes, at first, I tell you, me and Ryan Clark was laughing about it. The year we won the SEC in 2001, I think we were 11th or 12th in defense. And we turned about the 7th game, we were 3-2 or something like that. Hey, we're going to we'll feed off of that getting ahead, which it did. And then our defense really played the second half, but we threw it as well as anybody. At that time, had ever been around. We threw it all. Sugar Bowl, we had 600 yards. Beat Tennessee in the SEC championship. We went to because that's our team changed in midstream to say, okay, we got to go score a lot of points to help our defense, which made them better, which made our team better. Next year we played different. The year we won the national championship, we were very balanced. We had great offense. We scored 35, 37 a game. They were great on defense. We played each other. We changed by what the team does. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's where you have to, that's just the way I think. Anybody else want to think that way? That's fine. Because at the end of the day, it's about trying to be successful and win the game. And that's how we think.
Just to clarify, you mentioned several guys as a starter, and that's day one, right? And the competition at those positions.
Oh, competition's every day. I don't know what you're talking about in particular.
Well,
No. If some guy's getting beat out and some guys are playing better, you're going to move up. Best player, you got to go prove it every day. That's one of the great things about having guys around you, that you have good competition and depth in your team. That makes practice better. Like you say, if you have a great opening game, that helps your off season. Get good players on your team. That does too. I can say, okay, next guy play. That matters, and that's your whole objective. But as a player, that's what you want too. You don't want to go where there ain't no players, because you know why? You'll never find out how good you are. You never find out if you ain't going to play there, how you going to play in the league? And we'll find ways to play you, I promise. And sometimes it saves you. If you got two or three of them, they don't get quite as many reps, but their bodies are saved to go play in the league. They still make All-American. They still make $1 zillion. You know what I mean? Whatever it may be. So I think competition every day. That's what it's about.
Did you see the contract that David wrote?
Mm-hmm.
What does that feel like for a head coach? It kind of had you did have a part in switching him to that.
Well, but he still went and did everything he asked to do and played. Now, but just phenomenal. You can't imagine the kind of kid he is. I mean that. And I say kid, young man or man. That guy now, he worked, he was tough. Listened, he trusted, and you talk about a great heart. You talk about a really good person. I'm telling you now, he is, and I'm so happy for him. There's nobody who deserves it anymore, works any harder, does anymore. It ain't bad being 219 pounds playing corner either. And being big enough to do that, that's amazing. But I'm just so happy for him. I really am. He is it doesn't surprise me, but I'm just, it's not rewarding. Just very happy for him.
Become, Cam Irving, too, an example of when you're trying to tell guys maybe they should move to help their careers to a different position. You can point to, you have several examples now to use.
Yeah, it does. Like I said, to clarify that, I never make a guy do it. I ask him, and he does it, and if he doesn't, he gets to go back where he's at. But I think sometimes it does, and I think we've all, you've seen cases of that not only here but other places a lot of times, and that's our job, to try to put him in the best position to be successful, and hopefully it does. Does people at least give you some credibility that, to try it. You know what I'm saying?
Along those lines, Vermont Lane, how he's had an off-season?
Okay, hopefully. He was hurt, in the spring with that foot, so he's back healthy, but he's practicing, and I'm anxious to see him get out there and go. You got some experienced guys there with him and Nate and Trey Marshall, of course Derwin, and Derwin's there, and down there you got some very young, talented guys. You saw Westbrook and them play really well second half of the season. I thought Westbrook played well. He played outstanding in the bowl game, in the Florida game. He played You got the young guys, Hampshire and well, I mean, we got Daytona Central up here. We're getting them guys from Daytona all over. I mean, and, all those guys, Cyrus and, Bruton, and, I mean, all those guys. It's just going to be fun to watch and where they can play. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Sure have. One of them waited a year, then did it, and became a first-round draft pick. Later on, I won't say who. But it took him a year to decide it. But sometimes guys just don't want to do it, and you don't make them. Very rarely, though, most guys, if you sit down and it's not just explain what you're thinking, why you're thinking it. This is where I see it. This is why I see it. Most guys will at least go try it. You know what I mean? I've never had. I don't think there's anybody that's never not tried it. Now they fought it in the beginning or had to think about it. Take them a while. Some of them a year. But and then some. And some you've moved back. So hopefully Ricky Leonard's one of those guys too. Hopefully he continues to grow and has another great year. I think it does. And trust. And I think your history, again, what they were talking about, your history of having success doing those things that, you may have it. History is a great teacher of things. What happens, what's going to happen, success, a lot of those things. And then also the trust that, they talk to the players, they listen, I promise you, he isn't going to do it for a bad reason. He'll move you back, whatever. You know what I'm saying? I think, because at the end of the day, listen, this whole thing gets down to one word, trust. I trust them, they trust me. And the coaches and whoever's in charge of it. That's the key part of it. And that's a relationship. That's what this is all about. That's coaching.
Of course, last year, Ricky and Logan were two first-year guys. What do you expect from not only just them and going into year two, but how do you handle, kickers and punters as they go into their second year? Are they different than anyone else?
We'll see just what their strengths and weaknesses are. But usually your mental drive and your consistency is, like, for instance, Ricky had a tremendous start. Started on fire. Then he had one bad game there. He missed 2 or 3 kicks. Which he hadn't missed all year. But then he bounced back and played really well. And then Logan started out really good. Struggled. That's part. You kind of knew that was going to happen. That's what gets you is the longevity of the season. You know what I'm saying? The grind every week, and that's what gets young players. That's why it's great to have depth and keep guys in rotation if you can. But if you can't, you can't. And I think they'll learn from that their mental toughness and their drive that. In 1 week doesn't. You still got 11 more weeks. So no matter if you do good, you do bad. I think all those types of things from a maturity standpoint really help you.
So, with Ricky and accuracy, is it just a matter of repetition?
Oh, it is consistency. Consistent performance over a long period of time and doing it over and over and over and over and over. How do you make 6 of them in the first game? Go back and do those things. You get back. He broke a school record the opening game in a big game against a top 11 opponent in the country and kicked very well. And going back and. Again, that's what young guys, and sometimes, like I always say, success, the worst thing about it, you're always trying to, sometimes you push it, and I got to get better, and I change this little thing, and I change that, and all of a sudden, I can't kick it. It's like a golf swing. Everybody got a better golf. Every time you go out, you're going to learn there's something new. You was hitting it straight. I'm going to hit it farther. Yeah, I'm going to hit it farther crooked. You know what I'm saying? That's what happens. Kickers you can get bored, but at the same time, you want to push those boundaries, but you got to know, and I think as you get older, it's like in any position, like quarterback, I'm going to try that. I can try that. Ooh, that didn't work. I got to go back to that. And I think it's all a learning process. All right, get a couple more and we got to go. Anybody? Y'all quiet back there.
I'm a freshman quarterback, and I barely was here in the spring.
Uh-huh.
James, have you had a chance to talk much to him since you got here?
Yeah, I have. Been around. I love his personality. I love his demeanor. Has good presence, which I think is very important. I think, of course, he's got great arm talent and things. So we'll see how he picks things up and learns.
I know last year the conversation kind of came to how a player that's top billing high school deals with kind of expectations like that through the year now. What's Josh's focus this season? Is he staying on the field? Is it kind of
playing every play and being the best he can be, staying healthy, doing the things he got to do to take care of his body, his mind, so he can continue to compete? Because when he's ready, when he's healthy and things go good, man, he's a very good player, very strong. You don't realize how strong he is now. Extremely powerful. Extremely powerful. And whether he can play the run and the pass about equally as well. We good? Thank you, guys.